have to say today, Kashab, my remarks will be very short and I'll be listening in as well, but I won't be saying very much.
I think, Hermina, these dialogues are like the introduction space. So I think as we move ahead after the dialogues, there'll be always time for all of us to, exchange notes and collaborate. Like we have Tripti ji, who is a psychologist from
Oh,
India.
amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
and
Yeah.
and we also have Sudha ji, our actions global actions director from the program. She's a very senior grassroots activist on gender, on peace, on climate, on many issues, and she's based in Bangalore. Sudhaji, welcome to the discussion today.
Thank you, Keshav. Sorry, I can't get this video here. Hi, Tripti, Hamina, and
Hi, Sudha. How are you?
Hi. I'm fine, Hamina. How are you? I heard you are very busy now, right?
Yeah, but we get through. As women, we handle many things all the time in our normal lives. So.
That's right. We have multiple roles to play, right?
Nice to have you on here.
Yeah. Again, catching up with all of you there. Yeah.
I think
so Keshav, Tripti and me studied in the same school. She was 1 year senior, and so it's very wonderful to connect. For me on a personal level also, because after so many years of school, we are back again and almost on the same page. So it feels really great. So that is when the session came up. I thought, I should ask Tripti if she would be interested to do this, because I also keep seeing the posts that she shares. So it's nice to connect on both the levels.
I know, it's been so far back that we were in school together. But it's lovely to be connect back with you, Jasmine. Damn cool, seriously.
So we also have Samantha, who's joined in, who's on the panel today. Hi, Samantha.
Hello, good morning. Greetings from Guyana. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Samantha.
Very well. Hi,
hello.
Sam, how are you? Yes, Sam, we hear you very well. Can you hear us?
Okay, great. Yeah, I can hear you guys. The internet is a little bit on and off, so I'm just checking to see how the other end is hearing me. So bear with me on that. So I'm pretty excited to be on this panel because mental health is one of my key issue that I basically target on as in terms of discussion focus and action plan focus. So great to meet you all this morning.
Glad to have you, Sam. Cecil is supposed to be joining. Did you speak to him this morning? I know he got the program yesterday, Jasmine.
Yes, Hermina, we spoke in the morning today.
This is live, actually. I just realized we're live on Facebook already, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we're it's already 4:58. So so we will be beginning by sharp 5, I hope.
And, okay, perfect. I'm ready to start exactly on time, and I'm gonna pop out really quickly, and my remarks will be very short. Very happy to be here amongst all of these amazing people.
And for all of those people who've joined us for the first time, we have already Aspire Artemis Foundation, the team, and the DIAS team led by Jasmine, Mahima, Vaishnavi, and from Aspire Artemis, Asabi. Hermina is already with us. And, so many very important women have led already these 5 dialogues previously on gender. Which have now built up to this very important conclusive dialogue of this series. So I think a special mention for the whole team is very important as we sort of move ahead. And if if Jasmine, you just want to tell everyone for context setting the 5 topics, so that when Hermina begins, now it's already 5. So Jasmine, if you can just lay out the 5 topics quickly with us, and then invite Hermina so we can then commence the discussion.
Thank you so much, Keshav. So the 5 dialogues that have happened, the first one began with the gender stereotypes, in which we covered issues related to how stereotypical notions and social constructions have been created around gender roles, of what is required of a man to do and a woman to do, and how it restricts the progress of a woman at a very large scale. And often even people belonging to the LGBTQ community face a lot of problem related to it. The second session was related to access to education and training opportunities for women and young girls. And I really loved what Hermina had expressed in her introduction that day, of how again the gender stereotypical notion seeps into even the education opportunities and training opportunities that come into play. Followed by the third session on reproductive health and role of empowerment, which again was a very popular session. And now we are moving towards creating the part 2 of reproductive health, because many other issues related to health of a woman, which we often overlook, came into play. And so there was a demand that we organize a second session for it. The fourth one was women in the workforce, another important session which usually is neglected, and that's why we have why women need to break the glass ceiling. So these kind of topics come into play because there is a stereotypical notion that exists around women taking over the board, and often we have to create our spaces after a lot of struggle. The fifth session was based on gender-based violence and abuse against women. And now we have the sixth session, which is on mental health. So all the sessions which have been curated were interlinked with each other, not only under the gender series, but also even the other programs which are running, the dialogues, be it education, be it inclusion. So looking forward to a very good session today. And definitely we'll be organizing further sessions, because more and more people are understanding the issue to be discussed. So we'll definitely do it. And now I really request Hermina to come forward and give her intro. Thank you so much, Hermina.
Thank you so much, Jasmine, and it's been a wonderful gender series, and I'm happy that we have had a very strong showing and strong participation from all across the globe, from every single continent, and as well as from all genders, representations, and intersectional backgrounds. So today we're going to talk focus mostly on mental health. And according to the World Health Organization, mental health problems are among the most important contributors to the global burden of disease and disability. Mental and neurological conditions account for 12.3% of disability-adjusted life years lost globally, and 31% of all years lived with disability at all ages and in both sexes. According to a number of researchers like Susan Rice, Derek Solove, Tien Che, Lorraine Ivanchik, Zachary Steele, Mark Creamer, and many others, gender-based violence was significantly associated with mental health disorder, dysfunction, and disability. The World Health Organization further underlines that lifetime prevalence rates for any kind of psychological disorder are higher than previously thought and are increasing in recent cohorts and affect nearly half the population. The time has long passed for women worldwide to join their collective voices to demand the removal of structures and policies, including those steeped in culture and religion that act as barriers and hindrances to the enjoyment of their human rights and dignity. We must, however, respect that the Western view of human rights may not be attractive in other countries. Women in other countries may have other ways of expressing their worth and may demand more strict or more comprehensive methods that uphold their dignity and worth as they see it. The World Health Organization points out that gender-specific risk factors for common mental disorders that disproportionately affect women include not only gender-based violence, but also socioeconomic disadvantage, low income and income inequality, low or subordinate social status and rank, and unremitting responsibility for the care of others. There also exists a disparity between how mental health help is dealt with between the sexes. According to WHO, they rightly point out that, gender differences, they exist in the patterns of seeking help for psychological disorder. Women are more likely to seek help from and disclose mental health problems to their primary healthcare physician, while men are more likely to seek specialist mental health care and are the principal users of inpatient care. In general, when women's human rights are violated to the point at which her safety, security, physical, and mental health is severely compromised, intervention is necessary. This can come in several forms, including international pressure, as well as economic, social, and emotional support systems that include the community and grassroots. If women are killed based on perceived honor-based violations, genitally mutilated to the point of physical incapacitation or death, or stoned to death due to perceived infidelity, then intervention can be justified. In instances where women's rights are curtailed, they can experience serious emotional, psychological, and physical health issues. The mental health impact of long-term cumulative psychosocial adversity needs to be adequately researched and investigated so as to measure the total effects on disruption of the mental health of women globally. And I'm very pleased to be joined by a very diverse and powerful panel who will go into the details of how mental health is dealt with locally and globally. Thank you so much. And I will give it off to the moderators for the session.
Thank you so much, Hermina. Very, very powerful remarks, and thank you for setting the context. Before we go to our panel discussion now, let me just quickly set some basic guidelines for our discussion today. Whichever speaker is not speaking today at that time, we request all of you to keep your mics on mute while the other speakers are speaking. We request you to not talk over each other as speakers. We also respect, we hope that we are able to create an inclusive, encouraging, and respectful environment today for everyone to echo their views freely, and that we are that we have acceptance of diversity and that we respect each other as speakers. And finally, just the mindfulness of speaker time, because then we will have more opinions, more speakers. So we request all of you to kindly be respectful yourself of the speaker time. And it gives me a great sort of pleasure to introduce and hand over the floor to our moderator for today, Cecile St. Jules. Cecile, would you like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself to everyone, please?
Hi, good morning, everyone. And it is indeed a real pleasure to be here. It's very important, very, very important discussion. I come out of the financial services industry. I have years of experience in the US bond market, the heart of Wall Street, but along the way, I've been very involved in many community organizations, and I've played also a role in starting up and building a small marketing agency that specializes in marketing small hotels in the Caribbean. The discussion is very relevant, and it is sort of along the lines of a very personal matter, because I have a daughter who did psychology, and she just completed her master's in psychology at Fordham University, and her passion is the mental health of very young people, and she wants to carve out her career space in play therapy, right? And actually through her, I have gotten an insight into mental health issues, and particularly issues affecting younger people, right? So it's personal to me, but I hope to learn from this as well. A very distinguished panelists who have, again, good personal stories to tell, good experiences that they have lived through and come out stronger for it, right? So I'll just take you through the panelists. Samantha Shiva-Prasad. Samantha is the founder of a software development company called Trifinity. She is the CARICOM Youth Ambassador. She is from Guyana. And she is a social investor who uses technology to solve issues and create sustainable solutions. But she does have a personal story. She has suffered from mental illness, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, and she has championed a project called Mental Health Matters, which focuses on mental well-being. Very, very relevant. We have Tripti Chaudhry Vaid, and Tripti specializes in child, adolescent, and young adult psychology. In fact, very much along the lines of what I was saying about my daughter, right? And Tripti practices at the Center for Child and Adolescent Wellbeing, MP Heart Clinic, and her expertise lies in working with young people with depression, anxiety, behavioral issues, eating disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, PTSD, fears, phobias, psychiatric disorders, etc. She runs an internship program for master's level students, and her vision is to empower young people and their families and help them to become more adaptable in society. Welcome, Tripti. And I have one other panelist. Sorry, just a minute. The other panelist is Sahir Hashmi Raza, and Shahir also does have some personal stories to tell, but she has carved out a space as a motivational speaker. She is a young artist, and she suffered severe depression, suicidal tendencies for almost 9 years. And after pulling through and recovering, she realized that she was not the only one who faced those issues. And she has taken it upon herself to have a Facebook page, Facebook Live Talks, and she has already expanded her motivational speaker role. And she feels that mental health is not taken seriously enough in today's world. So with that very, very distinguished panel, I thank all of you for being here. And I want to start off on the question, because let's take it from young, let's take it from the youth and adolescent phase. And I know we do have some questions listed, but I would like to go and question number 6 which is the period of adolescence is a particularly impressionable period in a child's life, wherein he or she goes through multiple bodily changes as well as mental health, attitude, and development. This does have a positive attitude or an adverse impact on a child's mental health. This is going to be the first. Does this have a positive impact on the child's mental health? This is the first issue that we're going to put on the table. But before that, I would just like each of the panelists to introduce yourselves a little beyond the brief that I have laid out on you. And I'd like to go to each of you, so you give your opening statement, opening remarks, and introduce us to who you are at a deeper sense. So, Sahir, could you go, please, and tell us some more about yourself?
Hi. Can you see me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Seher. I'm from New Delhi and I'm 25 years old. So I think you've told, the major parts of my life, which is I've suffered from depression for the past almost 8 to 9 years. And I had it, during my childhood, it had started, but then, my parents weren't really aware of it, nor the society is really aware of, that there is something like mental health. People take mental health in a very bad way in today's world. I mean, people say that you're mad if you have mental health issues or if you have suicidal tendencies. They do not understand that we require to be sensitive. We require to give special help to such kind of people. And instead we ignore, we judge, we leave them. So yeah, so I've suffered from mental health issues for the past almost 8-9 years. I was in a very bad shape. I had almost breakdowns every single day of my life, which was very severe. I was on medication for 8 years. So it's been almost 1.5 years now that I am off medication, and I'm almost off therapy also. It's just that whenever I feel that I'm not fine, I go back to therapy. Otherwise, I don't think I really require it. Other than that, I'm an artist. So I'm a self-taught artist. I've never learned how to paint or, to actually learn what to do while you're on paper with colors. So it's that, when I'm not fine, when I feel very low, or when I have my breakdowns, I kind of, take myself off from all this, and I feel that, no, if nobody is going to listen to me, if nobody is there to understand me, why not, just paint it out? I mean, at least paintings are going to help me in some way or the other. And that's what happened. I have had, like a couple of exhibitions since I think 2016. I'd started doing them, and now I've had like a couple of them. And it really helps me because, I've become more confident. I've started living my life on my own. I've been very, health-wise, I've been very well now. And as I told, I've been off medication. I've been handling myself, and I've been doing my Facebook lives. I've been making people aware of mental health issues, because I feel in today's world, a lot of people, they just give up because they feel that there's nobody to help them, to, take care of them, or to listen to them also. And so I always do these Facebook live because I want people to know that, you're not alone, and giving up is not a solution. You have to stand up and live your life for yourself and not for others. But you also have to understand that it's a very difficult, procedure, and it's a very difficult process altogether. But then, time heals it all. And I'm telling this and I'm saying this by my own personal experience. I have gone through the worst. I mean, I don't even want to like imagine it again. It is, make me shiver. So yeah, but I just want to be there and I want to help. And that's why I've been, I've come here to talk about my personal experiences, about what I've gone through, and to share everything. Maybe you guys, one of you feel the same, or, whoever's watching feel the same, and they might feel better listening to me. So yeah, thank you for having me here.
Thank you very much. This is, I mean, this is, you come out of a difficult time and come out stronger. And your personal story does say quite a lot. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And also, a lot of people sometimes stories locked in and very private. And I think it takes some degree of bravery to come out there and tell about it. But I'll go to Tripti. Tripti, could you tell us some more about yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Tripti Chaudhary Ved, and I'm a child, adolescent, and young adult psychologist. I've been working in New Delhi for the last 10 years, and I especially work with emotional disorders of this, segment of population. Initially, when I joined, clinical practice, everyone said that this is, there are not so many cases of adolescent mental health. It's too niche, it's too Tripti, don't make yourself just one tract. And I was like, no, this is what I want to do, because I know for a fact that this is the adolescent period and the young adult is they actually require the help. And as Seher said, that they really need to be heard. So I think over the years, my experience with this has been that there are many adolescents going through mental health concerns, ranging from depression to anxiety to eating disorders to body image issues. The list is just endless. Self-harm becoming like a coping mechanism for almost every other teen that I meet with. It may seemingly in the first session not come up as that do they self-harm, but then when you speak with them, you realize that how deeply this negative coping technique has seeped into their ways of coping. And I genuinely feel that we need to be there for them. We need to tell them that there are adaptable ways to get to work through your stress. There is adaptable way, there is help available, there are people to hear you. So I think that's been my paradigm of working, to just hear the adolescents out. And I think sometimes they just need a place to talk, to be able to share what they're going through without any judgment. Now that's very important, because often I feel that in the culture setup that I work in, that the judgments reign very, very high. So I think what adolescents needs is just hearing, impartially hearing without any judgments. And I think it just helps them clear their mind sometimes and progress further. This is what I work with. This is what I've been passionately involved in. Taking the cause of mental health out there is very, very important to me, because I feel that we can save lives if the help was provided at the right time. Mental health has always been important. It's just that now we are realizing the importance of that mental health being important. Because I think also keeping in mind the current scenario of this COVID-19 pandemic, where people were put into lockdowns, adolescents were at home, not allowed to go out. There has been a lot of increase in mental health concerns generally. And if experts are to believe, we don't even know the psychological impact of COVID-19 right now on the people. So right now, the more awareness we create, we can foresee a better future for children, adolescents, and young adults, if we are to take the situation in grip right now. So I feel this talk comes at a very, very opportune time to really tell everybody that wake up, smell the coffee, mental health is important, we got to take care of it. Because if we don't, combined with this COVID-19 pandemic, it's going to have very, very, very disastrous effects. So I think, thank you for having this talk today. I hope people there can get some bit of information more about it, and people who are going through similar concerns can reach out to anybody for help. That would be the goal of doing this talk today. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you very much, Tripti. It's indeed very challenging times. We have the whole foundations of technology changing with social media, and the interaction between young people makes it really, really, really difficult. And then layered on top of that, you have the issues coming out of COVID-19, and again, different levels of isolation. So talking the technology issue, let me go to Samantha. Samantha is from my neck of the woods. I am from the Caribbean. I am from St. Lucia originally, right? But I do live in New Jersey. So Sam is from Guyana. So Samantha, I'll turn over to you right now.
Guys, good morning once again. I'm Samantha Shioprashad from Guyana, and sharing my experience with mental health. I've gone through some turbulent experience as a young person, starting from the age of 15, and I think it started earlier, but I can account when the episode started at the age of 15, and from that there country with the highest suicide rate in the world, one of the highest suicide rate capital in the world. I could not imagine having the opportunity to find solution at an early stage of this challenge, because at the time when it started, nobody understood what it was and what this is all about and how this can be combated. Even me, because as a research and a logical oriented mind individual, I could not put my hands around this issue, and it took me almost 6 years, 6 to 7 years before I could have gathered some form of solution. And that only happened when a friend of ours just say, she knew this therapist, and they had a class, and they had some persons from India who used to come teach mindfulness. So I didn't attend class that had mindfulness, but I met the psychotherapist, and I explained to him my experience, and from there on, I noticed that something that happened to me for almost 6 7 years, of seeing stuff and hearing voices and all these things never happened to me from that day on. I'm not sure what he did, but um, I was just sharing my experience with him, and I told him how fearful I am of this experience, and he said, "Okay, don't worry, you'll never have to go through this again." And I never did go through that experience. However, I do get um, I do struggle with depression from time to time, and this experience have taught me to level up in so many different ways as a youth leader, from finishing off a degree in computer science to building an algorithm to decipher depressive statements and creating solutions for young people in the community where I live and the country, so that whenever they needed help, like I needed help, help was there for them, and they didn't had to meet the many roadblocks that I would have met without any answers at the time, that made me felt imprisoned, and like the world didn't had any solutions for me as a young person. So it was really a truly turbulent experience, but an experience that has given me strength and courage to stand up at any forum and speak about mental health, from the core of my heart and the top of my head, without even a written script, because this is my story, this is what I've lived, and this is what happened to me, and this is what is happening to many of young people like me, and they are not truly aware of what is happening to them. And this is because our schools, our education systems, and even our governments have failed us so much, and fail to put budget that focuses on mental health and rethinking mental health, and fail to also include in our curriculum education that is important towards self-care and mental resilience, and so much more that is required to help an individual to take care of him or herself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Samantha. So again, big welcome to all three of you. And with that, I will turn it over to Mahima, who will go forward with the questioning.
Right. Thank you, Cecile. Firstly, I would like to welcome everyone to the dialogue. My name is Mahima, and I will be co-moderating the dialogue. I would be asking the panelists my first question, which is related to to mental health, and I would also be posting the question in the chat box if by any chance you are unable to comprehend the question. So my first question, as Tripti also talked about, is the very vulnerable group that is children and teenagers and adolescents. Body shaming and targeted criticism provokes teenagers to have a very low self esteem, and it indirectly affects their mental health. I know that I went to an all girls school, and every day there used to be so many instances where I was bullied for no reason, and there was this constant pressure to be the best in the group or in my class because everyone was so competitive. And again, body shaming, there were a lot of reasons that it indirectly affected my mental health and made me feel that I'm not worth anything. So what do you think, as experts or people who have been through this particular scenario, what could be done to combat body shaming in these teenagers, and then that indirectly also help them improve their mental health? Tripti, would you like to take this question forward?
Hi, Maima. Thank you so much for the question. Yes. So, again, with the advent of more social media, different challenges come up these days. The A4 size challenge, or, the thigh gap challenge. These are all, percolated, and they all, make the cause of, body shaming even worse, right? You already shared that, as when you went to school, you also experienced, some amount of body shaming. Well, it's there, rampant everywhere. What can we do about it is, as I think I'm going to first address how we can, manage this probably as adults, is for us to not communicate that to our children. The moment, let's say, somebody says, oh my God, I'm fat, pulls their t-shirt towards the side and be like, oh my God, I'm fat, I need to start dieting. That thought remains in the mind of a child, that I cannot eat something because it is going to make me fat. We don't focus on the concept of fit. We don't focus on the concept of being healthy, having more energy. But it's all centered around, as adults, we sometimes, our conversations become about, the weight, the body, and, all of these, like, these are the concepts that percolate into our children, that percolate into, and that is what takes it forward to the adolescent period. Yes, there is a lot of peer influence also. Remember that, when one is at an adolescent stage, the need for, getting approval from the peers is very high. The cognitive development at that age is such that, adolescents think that, everybody is just looking at me. So for them to be able to, sort of have appropriate body image issues becomes very, very important for their physical development as well as their mental development. So I think one of the ways that this can happen is, if you are being body shamed, please call the person out. I think it's a good idea. Some amount of, I think, creating self-love for yourself, creating, compassion for your own self and for the others. When these kind of values are put into, place, I think this whole comparison of, of body shaming and, of comparing our bodies is going to go down slowly and steadily. It requires a change of a mindset to be able to get to, making a break towards it.
Absolutely, Tripti. And, Tripti also talked about the idea of calling out people. And on that, Samantha, I would like to understand your views. At times, the people who body shame you are your own family members and best friends. And it gets very difficult to call them out because there's always this fear that, maybe they get offended, or how can I face my own family members or best friends and tell them that no, do not do it. I am not liking it, or I'm feeling uncomfortable. So, Samantha, how do you think these things can be addressed, and anything else that you would like to add to the question that I posed before?
Um, I like this topic, uh, especially calling out persons who have offended you and who have sort of step their grounds over you. And especially when it comes to a family member, I have no apology in doing that. And I think nobody in this world should have to um, exist in an environment or face with certain dilemma where they're being labeled and they're being carted off and they're being stigmatized because of the way they look or the way they dress or the way they operate. I don't believe that anybody should have to face that. And I don't care who does it to me. I will stand up for my right. I will stand up for someone who is going through that situation as well. There are persons who would have labeled me as fat because maybe I would have thrown on some size. And I've never had this much size in my entire life, right? And I don't see this as a problem for me, putting on size or anything, but it certainly became a problem for people. Also, my teeth. I never realized my teeth was a problem for people. And even on social media, people would come and make all these nasty comments. And, I don't understand how society can be at one time fighting for human rights, and then in the same breath, they are looking at bringing someone down who they have no understanding of. So I would advise persons that if you feel a way about something, you don't have to go and confront everybody, but if you feel a way about something, speak up against it. Speak up towards it. Because if your silence is being held, then no one will understand what you are going through. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha. I think that was one of the best advices that I've heard. Really empowering. But what happens is that when we talk about things like social media, and Tripti, and you also mentioned it, is that these people, you have to confront these people when you go back to your school. These are your classmates. Just a minute, unmute. Right. So these are your classmates that do that to you, and the next day you have to go to the school and pretend that everything is normal because you just can't go forward and go against them in front of everyone, because then there's things like groupism happening or everyone just going against you for raising your voice. So Seher, how do you think that people can solve such issues on with utmost respect, and tell them that, not just tell them that don't do this to me, but to tell them that don't do it to anybody, and how bad are the consequences of what you're doing? So Seher, over to you.
So yeah, I'm just gonna start the answer by telling one of my own experiences. So I was on antidepressants for almost 8 to 9 years of my life, and antidepressants have very severe side effects. So one of them is, of course, gaining weight. I was around before I started taking the medicines, I was around 45 kgs. And, after I started my medicines and I was like taking them for so long, like almost 9 years of my life, that's like a lot of my life has gone into medication. So yeah, I gained weight and I became 72 kgs. And people around me, like children in my society, otherwise people around my college or my school, they would make fun of me. They would say that, why are you turning so fat? And they would make me feel so bad about it. But I could never actually reply to them, because these are side effects of the medicine which are not in my control. And if the medicines are doing good to me, then side effects are something that I get for free. I don't have an option to leave them or chuck it out. It's not going to happen. And what is important is I need to feel better, I need to feel confident, I need to feel safe, and I need to be alive. So those medicines kept me alive. And body shaming and all these things happen so much in today's world. In even on social media, on otherwise people during like people would do that to you. Even for me, so many people said so many things, and I used to feel very bad. People who have known me for so many years, they would say, why are you sitting at home, you're gaining weight. They would never not understand that this is not in my control, and it's not because I'm sitting home or I'm eating a lot. It's not because of that, it's because I'm on medication. So we need to actually redefine what beauty is, because being beautiful can be in every way, shape, size, color, that doesn't matter. Beautiful is beautiful. It's what you think about it. So if somebody's fair, that doesn't mean they're beautiful, or if somebody's dark, that doesn't mean they're ugly. Of course, I mean, that's what they've got, and it's not in their hand. So what I want to say is, Nandita Das had done this campaign about dark is beautiful. So she was actually talking about people who are dark and who are still beautiful, because color doesn't matter, or what size you are, or that all these things are just like, if somebody is fat or if somebody is dark, it's not in their hand. Or even if they are fat or something, they can of course reduce their size, and beauty is just what is in the person's eye. It's how you see it. Inner beauty is the most important thing. Outer beauty is just for today, or it'll be something different in a few years. I'm looking like this right now. After 50 years of my life, I'll be all wrinkled and all. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be beautiful, or that doesn't mean any of us would not be beautiful. So that we need to actually think about the definition. We need to spread awareness about what beauty is actually, because beauty is not having a lot of makeup on you, or having a clear skin, or having complexion which is fair and not dark. All these things are, in my words, bullshit. It's not true. I mean, you need to ignore these things. You need to learn to be confident in the way you are, in your own skin, in your own shape, size, whatever. You need to be strong, and you need to tell them to not say these things to you. You need to listen to them from one ear, and then take these things out from the other ear, because we need to be strong for ourselves. That I've understood in these 8 years of my life, that nobody is going to be standing right next to you all your life. Maybe your parents will, but they will also be there for a particular time. After that, they will also go. But you need to be strong for yourself. Yeah, I think that's it.
Amazing, Seher. I think it was beautiful. The ideas that you shared were beautiful, and a lot of people wrote something really beautiful things in the chat box. And I think Vaishnavi also said that the definition of being beautiful has to change. But I think that there shouldn't be any definition of what is beautiful. You know what is beautiful. You should define that for yourself. And there are a lot of things that go on how we should not body shame people or not call people dark, and even dark people are beautiful. And I think these conversations do not have to happen at all, because why are we actually subjecting a single person or a category of people who are dark or fat and saying that these people are beautiful? If we do that, we're actually running on an assumption that they aren't beautiful, and we're forcing people to do that. And I think that is wrong, because it is everyone's inherent responsibility to feel that everyone is equal. And I lost my best friend in 2 years back, and she always used to say one thing, that everyone can be pretty, but you are beautiful. And whenever I have these bad days when my face is bloated and I just feel like I'm the most ugly human in this world, I always remember this thing. And I know that these things are temporary, but what I am as a human and how I interact with people is something that's going to change things for everybody. And I think there are a lot of beautiful things being said in the chat box, and we can keep reading them side by side. And I think more power to everyone who has easily been able to overcome all these insecurities that they have. And maybe all of us keep doing that as people. And we talked a lot about social media. We talked about how women are objectified. In general, Vaishnavi also asked this question that objectification of women is one strong problem. So my next question revolves around the same, is that social media is largely accessible to the younger generation, but it has also restricted the definition of beauty, which resulted in online bullying, body shaming, spread of hate, and judging books by its cover. So, what do you think that how could a wider audience become a menace to a world which is much more secure for these people? Because whenever I see some of my friend posting something, I start assuming myself sitting in my bedroom that how would I look when I put this picture, or how would I look um, when I put the same thing on my Instagram or social media, and how will people think about me? And that constant pressure to fit in is something which takes over everyone's mental health, and I think it's increasing day by day, especially in the lockdown, when everyone is just sitting at their home and scrolling through their social media. So, on that note, I think Samantha, I would like to understand your views. I've also posted the question in the chat box. So, how can we have this particular problem tackled for all our sisters and the women who are younger to us, and not let them fall in this trap?
Thank you very much for that question. Um, and if I do understand the question, it's talking about cyberbullying and being able to counteract that emotional turbulence and all of that. Um, I would have experienced cyberbullying and all of that personally. And when I did, I created a video that talks about the use of social media and using social media as a medium to connect and creating a safe space for people, right? So that persons can understand, the most effective use of social media. But on an individual or a personal level, you have to be mentally prepared when you're coming onto the social platform, because there are so much things that are happening, and you have to be grounded as an individual. And that is why I alluded to the fact that mental health education is very, very important, and we have not started to scratch um, the the entire paradigm of that. And one must understand that if they're putting themselves in an environment where there is a whole lot of scrutiny, he or she must understand that this is the nature of this environment. And it's a personal choice whether you want to be on that platform or not. Um, and also, if someone says something at you or says something to you, not everything should be taken personally. Is your mindset and your perspective to things, because there are so many things that have been said to me and said about me, and I had to learn ways and means to definitely counteract those statements. Because when things are said about you, you don't feel good about it, especially when it's something negative, right? And many times we feel bad about negative things, and in some ways I've learned to process that negativity and looking at a way to channel my silence, and being mute on certain challenges in a way that it brings some sort of fruitfulness out in another perspective, like in a positive perspective. So like I would have experienced cyberbullying, I went and I talked on a whole different topic, and I give attention to the positive aspect where people should pay more focus and attention on the use of social media. So I could have gone and rant about somebody did this to me, somebody said this about me. But no, I spoke about the use of social media and how people can definitely use it to create a safe space and welcome, be more welcoming, more mindful, more thoughtful, and more rooted in their action. Because at the end of the day, we can't just blame social media for everything because we're part of it, right? um, it's just a technology. We can use it for negative, we can use it for positive. All right, so it does not get used just like that. It has to have some level of human interaction for it to basically get to that level. All right, and if you have developed that level of confidence and self-love and you know blissfulness within yourself, well, you'll find that strength to overcome some of these mental challenges. And I know everybody going through their journey at a different level and stage of their journey, they will have different experiences. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samantha. I think that was one great advice that I'm going to follow. But one other problem that we usually face as young girls is that we aren't aware about what is happening, and at times we get so much into that particular sphere. For example, if someone is bullying us, we do not know what to do. We end up just blocking that person or reporting that person. We don't know what else to do because we're also afraid of what that other person might do, because we don't know who's behind that screen. So it takes a lot of courage to call out these people or to do more than just block them. So Tripti, on that note, what do you think can we as teenagers do, or even other people who are important in this, be it the government or parents, help these particular people to not just run away or feel scared or block these people, but also to make them realize that you cannot do this with anyone else and it is wrong?
Again, there is, one thing that I also wrote on the chat is that becoming confident of your own self is very important. Apart from just being able to call out these people, you need to have strong faith, strong confidence in your own self. And as far as you don't know behind the screen, that is one of the perils of being on this online platform, that you're not aware of the authenticity of the other person. And that is a bit true, right? So, well, be cautious. I think that would be, in addition to calling people out, I would also say that we need to be cautious about, how, what we are doing. Definitely call them out. This is a no way to say that, you do not, work towards actively, getting your own way sorted. But there's another thing that, you also need to create your own boundaries. I think somebody asked, on the chat that, somebody might just actually be motivating you about this, and we may take it as, it is body shaming. So again, have your boundaries and know who you are. If you feel that there is a change required, you will know about that, right? So creating that boundary becomes very, very important in my understanding. Even with the virtual world, it becomes very, very important. What to accept, what to not accept is very important when we're dealing with social media in today's day and age, because there's a plethora of information available. There is, you want to go ahead and have, there are tons of people, who will say different kind of things, but it is up to us as to what we accept and what we don't. That's where we create our boundary, and that's what's important when we're regarding, when we're picking up an issue with the social media. I think that becomes very important.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tripti. And I think Tripti also talked about how it's important to create a safe space. And, on social media, when someone is bullying you and you post that one picture on your story and there are other people who are supporting you in that, I think that creates a lot of motivation for that person to actually go forward and think, and for other women also to see that, okay, she posted, people are actually calling that person out or reporting his account, even I can do that. And that's where a revolution starts. So Seher, how do you think this particular safe space can be created for the in general, for all the people, not just women but also men, because they are also being called out, and not just women, men, but also the people from the LGBTQI plus community that face a lot of issues in general to find acceptance on these social media channels, and they're being bullied for everything and anything that they do. Over to you, Seher.
I'm so sorry. Can you like explain the question to me in a little better manner?
Yes.
I
So
didn't get it.
I just wanted to understand from you that how do you think we can create a safe space for these particular people, be it from any gender, for be it men, women, or people from the LGBTQI plus community? Because when one person takes the courage to call one person out, it leads to other people feeling motivated and a whole set of revolution starting at that space where people start calling out. For example, the Me Too movement happened. So what's your take on this, and how can this safe space be created on social media in terms of creating a better mental health for these people also?
So what I feel is, first of all, we need to learn to ignore, and whatever happens on social media should stay on social media and not actually create an impact in our own life, or we should not like take it to our heart, because social media is just a different world altogether. Because good things happen there, bad things happen there, you meet good people, you meet bad people, so we need to learn to ignore them. And if there's something that's bothering you, or if somebody's doing something to you on social media or in any other manner, you need to learn to raise your voice, because that's going to create an impact. Because if you raise your voice and like, if somebody is calling me on social media, if somebody's saying that I'm very fat or I'm ugly or I'm not beautiful or whatever, so I need to kind of also ignore, because if I ignore that person will be like, nothing is happening to this person, and that person is not getting affected. So that's one thing which we should do, because that's going to create an impact in a lot of in a very big manner. Because that person is going to realize that, okay, whatever I've said to this person, it's just not going to matter to that person, and they're just ignoring it. So they will not kind of like aggravate it. Otherwise they would, if you're getting affected, if you show that person, oh, why are you saying this to me, or like act very innocent, and you'll be like all sympathetic, and you'll feel very bad about it, then obviously that person has gotten the weakness of yours, and they would like pinch it more towards you, because they know that it's affecting you. So creating a safe space, what I feel is, you need to learn how to raise your voice first of all. And if something is happening with you, whoever you're comfortable with, like, so many things happened with me. Like, I'm an adopted child. I was given away by my real parents at the age of 9 months, and I was adopted when I was nearly a year old. And I still today, in today's world, I don't have answers to why they left me, or was it my fault, or whatever. Like, I don't know what situation my real parents must have been in, but I have been teased so much about this. I've been made fun of. I've been called a parent, someone who doesn't have parents, and I've actually gone through a lot. So I used to get so affected by these things. These things used to break me apart, and I used to cry about them. I used to get in very depressed about them. They used to affect me so much. But now, since I have grown out of all these things, I've learned how to be confident in the way I am, in the life I have. I've accepted whatever bad stuff has happened, and I've kind of moved on with it. So what I feel is that that's what you need to do. I'm so sorry, there's somebody at the door. Just give me a second.
Sure, Seher. I think until the Seher comes back, maybe we can take a minute for her to come back. And post this, I'll just ask one question of an extension to Tripti, and after that, I'll be handing it over to Cecil, and then he can take forward his questions. And till now, it's been one great discussion, and I hope we keep the momentum. So Seher is back. Seher, you can continue. Thank you.
Yeah. So, I had done this program on Raksha Bandhan, one of the very, well-known festivals in India. It's a relationship between your brother and your sister, and the girl ties the rakhi to the brother, and he has to safeguard the sister or whatever. I don't know the concept, because I do tie rakhi to my brother, but he does not safeguard me. I don't think so, because he's so busy in his own life. But still, like, what I had seen on Amazon and a lot of other websites, there were things written like "tu to adopted hai." So what it's like, it's saying that you are adopted. I mean, okay, we are adopted, but what is it? Like a curse? Is it our fault? So what I mean is that so many things happen, on a daily basis with everybody, and it might be some things might be very good, some things might be very harmful, and all these things, but we need to really grow out of them. And crying over these things are just going to make it worse, because then the other person knows your weakness, and they will push it more towards you, and they would try to put you down. So that's what I've learned. So even on social media, a lot of people used to say a lot of things. Like every time I've done my Facebook live, people used to, and whenever I used to do my Facebook live on mental health, people used to actually comment more on what I'm wearing. And just because I have a Muslim name, though I don't follow that religion, I don't follow any religion, I don't believe in God, but though I have a Muslim name, people used to say, okay, you are Muslim, why are you wearing these things? You should first learn to dress up and all these things. I've gone through this, and I used to talk about mental health, such a serious issue in today's world, where a lot of people are suffering, and they feel that giving up is the only option, because they don't know where to get help from, how to get help, how to speak out, because they feel that they're alone in this. And that's what even I felt at one point of time in my life. This is all bullying. I used to go through so much, and I've actually come out of it, because I learned one thing, that nobody is yours forever. They will be there for you when they need you, but when you require them, they will show you their back, and they will just go. So I have always it was very difficult for me in the starting, of course, taking care of my own health, then my medication and everything, and understanding people, understanding their behavior, understanding how they're very insensitive about these things. It was very difficult. But then, as I said, it's been 8 years now. I've grown out of it. Now, if I'm doing my Facebook live, people comment, I don't even bother looking at it. Like, I'm like, I will read these comments later, because they talk about nonsensical stuff, and they don't understand the importance of mental health or whatever we are saying. They are more interested in what I'm wearing, how I'm looking, or whatever. I mean, that's not important, right? Because mental health being such an sensitive issue in today's world, and a lot of people going through these things, I think other things should be ignored. So that's what I always do during my life. I ignore them, and once I ignore them, people actually don't pressurize me with those questions more and more. That's what my mama, when I started my life, my mother told me, Seher, people might say 10,000 very hurtful things on your Facebook live comments or whatever, so you need to ignore them. They were so scared that people might say something that might spoil my health to the worst, and make me very underconfident or whatever. So that's what I learned, that we need to be comfortable in whatever we are, however we are. And if somebody is bullying, you need to talk, you need to share, you need to talk to someone who is elder to you. And if you feel they're blackmailing or whatever, then you need to take the help of the police or whatever. Have I answered your question?
Definitely. And I think it takes a lot of courage to be so open about your experiences, because not a lot of people do that. And we are 40 of us, and by listening to you, I think I feel so empowered to talk about my insecurities and my journey. And so many of us have gone through that individually, and I think that empowers each one of us who's present here. So thank you so much, Sarah, for being so brave, for being so honest, and as Agrima also mentioned, and from my side also, more power to you, and keep growing and keep smiling. And so my question to Tripti, being just a follow-up question, I really want to understand her views on this, is that recently when there was a lot of things being talked about mental health, and people saying that I'm there for you. When you type an hashtag called #depression, Instagram actually offers help to you. They ask if everything is okay, and they provide you free counseling facilities. Yes. So, Tripti, on that note, what do you think becomes the role of these social media platforms and the government also, to make sure that if people are being vulnerable to such things like cyberbullying or depression on social media, there are solutions to them to help them and make sure that they are not just letting it happen on their websites, and also helping these people, not ignoring these things because it has been happening since so long. So I think now is the time to act. But does that happen is something that I want to understand from you.
One thing that I want to point out is that there are many stakeholders in this online bullying, cyberbullying. It's not just one person, right? The people on the forum that they do it, the people who do it, the people who receive it, the people who support it, the people, the government, the people who are the lawmakers of the country, the people who are into all these cyber laws, and all of that. Everybody becomes a stakeholder in trying to address the issue, right? So we got to create awareness for all of those people, and all of those stakeholders need to take part together. And the most important stakeholder is the society and the kind of kind of just values that we all have as individuals, the human values. I'm not talking about any cultural values. I'm just talking about respecting the other human being as a human being. I think is very important. When all the stakeholders come onto the same page, and when we as a society try and inculcate some human values to our children, adolescents, and young adults, and to ourselves, I think we will win over this whole body shaming, pulling each other down on the social media. Because remember that there is some kind of a payoff whenever something like this happens. The behavior only persists because there is a payoff. If there was no payoff, it wouldn't happen. For instance, I agree with Seher when she said that if you ignore, it's hopefully not going to go further because the fueling of that person is stopped, right? So that is one thing we need to take into account, that if we ignore, it cuts out their let's say it cuts out the bullies, what do you say, the payoff. And when we cut off that payoff, hopefully that person will automatically calm down. But if it doesn't, then we need to have, as a country, as the world, we need to have better laws in place which will be helped, and which will be there to help out people if they go through something which is bothering them in the online world. So all the stakeholders need to work together on this. More forums like this need to come up so that the cause of this online bullying, cyberbullying need to be addressed. There have been a lot of issues. A simple that boys locker room incident that happened is an example of children objectifying, of body shaming, of all of this put together. So we need to have stricter laws for people who are doing these things, and it's perfectly okay to have that, because if we don't have that, then this is going to go out of hand. But when we do, we're going to try and bring it together. So I think it requires all of us to become more aware and more inclusive in the process. Just because it didn't happen to me doesn't mean I don't stand up for it. Another thing, we all a party. Every time you've scrolled one picture where something has been said, you become a party to it. As simple as that. So therefore, it is our responsibility to work this through, and the responsibility of all the other organizations involved.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tripti. And it is impressive that in fact, two themes that you raised in your earlier point, and it sort of ties to what Seher said, is establishing the boundary for yourself, establishing what's acceptable and what you're gonna bring into your life from social media and from other media, right? And deciding how that is going to affect your own personal life, your personal well-being. And I think a lot of people do have that challenge in establishing the boundary, establishing where the boundary is going to be, how far it is from you or how close it is to you, right? And that's critical. And I'm particularly impressed with the way Seher has been able to do a whole 360, go through her challenges, and then come out again much stronger. At this point, I just want to shift gears a little. In fact, I don't want to say I have the benefit of having many strong women around me. Some aunts, my mom, some nieces who are doing some very impressive things academically, right? So sometimes the conversation could be a little, I would say, a little different from my experiences, my personal experiences, right? So I have grown up having just many strong women around me, right? So it just became natural to me that boundaries were not set anywhere, whether you were male or female, period. Just end of story. It was purely up to you, right? Um, we're at the point now where we're seeing many women make huge strides internationally, politically, right? We have a woman in contention to be the leader of the WTO, who is the South Korean trade minister. We have seen Catherine Legard be the head of the IMF. We've got female prime ministers from, as you know, India, New Zealand, UK, Australia, Ireland, Liberia, Dominica in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. So we have a lot of stories, of success stories, but these success stories, I think, amplify the challenges that they have had to fight to get through to those points.
I mean, how much is the credit that you guys were supposed to credit? It should be on the notes.
That's what I was trying to read.
Hermina, you go on mute, please. Yeah. So these are the challenges that we do see people having to fight. So having kind of laid that basic background, I want to shift gears to the issue of culture and how in certain cultures after marriage, it's question number one on the list. After marriage, sometimes the trajectory of a woman's life tends to change. And again, foreign to me, where I see customs like not being allowed to visit parents' houses, parents' homes are common. And if no one to fall back on, women's mental health degrades. And what can be done to provide emotional support for women who feel alienated and prevented from having a social life? If you could please address some of that. And I would like to start with you, Tripti. You could go ahead and.
Right. Thank you for that question, Cecily.
I thought it was $65 for live.
Okay, Hermina's now on mute. Right. Okay. Yes, that is true. The cultural context in, a lot of, especially in India, is that, once the, woman is married, there are certain rules, regulations, for lack of a better word, that's put on the, person to visit, to not visit. I think what the woman in the process can do is to have a better understanding with her partner. I think what we miss out on are that, these things, can happen and do happen, but they can be helped if the partner and you have a better connection. They have a better, equation. Because this is what, I don't want to say this is what you dealt with, because that's not very cool. And there are lots of, women who go through very, very troubled, situations. But it is also important for women, and I always say this to all the moms who come in my session, that some way of coping by yourself becomes very, very important. I think women somewhere, after getting married, fall into very different roles, and they forget that their first relationship is not with anybody else but with themselves. So I think to be able to go through these challenges, one thing that is very important is that the woman has a relationship with herself. She needs to be able to give herself that time, to be able to give herself that nurturance, to be able to handle all of these things. Because, and secondly, having this, this kind of an, openness with, one's partner, this kind of an understanding with the partner of, how these things will manifest. So I think when we talk about mental health, and yes, these things do have, a serious impact on, women mental health, because it's not only, I'm not only talking about, people, who may come from, different, kind of families and stuff like that. I mean that for every woman. So I think, we need to take care of our mental health. The women need to take care of their mental health. Create nowadays, the one good thing about the pandemic has been that the social connections can happen even though the woman may not be stepping out of the house. So I think the one take back that we can do from this pandemic is create those associations, create those own support networks. Even if you are unable to go to your parents' house, do not cut the connection, is what I mean to say. Create that connection, reach out to them when you have a concern, reach out to your friends, don't lose out on touch with them. Do a video call, do a short call, SMS them, WhatsApp them, whatever, but stay connected with people who have formed your support group, because I think that will help your mental health become better and not like bring it down. So I think creating connections is very, very important, and finding ways to maintain that also becomes very, very important. So I think that will be an essential coping mechanism for women who are in these situations where they're forbidden to go back to their parents' house a lot and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Samantha, what is your experience on that issue in terms of the Guyanese culture?
Thank you very much. I would share my experience in terms of the Guyanese culture. The culture over here is pretty much the same, and it has adopted certain cultures from India as well. And I do have a dominant Indo Guyanese background, so I can speak to that as well. So a lot of the women here are being murdered. They're being suppressed into violent and abusive relationships, and almost every week, sometimes we have reports and cases on activities and events like these happening. And many women are not allowed to be themselves after they are married into a family, or they are married into um, you know society will treat them differently once they are married. And I can attest to that, because looking at my mom when she was married into um, a new family, and she had no idea what she was going to put up with, and then facing abuse and all of these things, even until today. Like, I just don't know how to get my father to stop being abusive to my mother. And you can just talk and talk and talk, and he would never listen, and he would never understand, and it's almost as you're talking to a child. And so men have been programmed a certain way to think that women are lower than them, and they hold the possessiveness and the utmost power over women. And the family sometimes of the men think that they have to set the ground rules, and they define what you wear, what you eat, how you dress, where you go, who you speak to. Excuse me, sorry, not on my agenda, especially growing up in a society that has that. I will never marry into a family that does that, and anyone who sort of put that barrier and have placed that barrier on me, I will stand up against them. And I have no apology for standing up against them. This has happened to me as a young woman. seeking an alliance to get married, and then not knowing what was going to happen. And then I'm hearing people carving out rules for me and setting all these rules for me because I am presumably going to become a married woman. But that does not rule out the fact that you need to respect me as an individual. You need to respect that I am not coming from a traditional culture, but a more modern society that embraces different type of perspective, and it's not like yours. So if it's not like the older tradition, you are not going to imprison me with your mentality, and I'm not going to allow that. And hence, I stood with my parents and I said, you know what, I am not getting married. This is nonsense that is thrown at me. If I'm to get married to that individual, then I need to have freedom. Marriage is not supposed to be seen as a trap. Women are not supposed to be seen as a possession. And I do not believe that women are supposed to follow the rules of mother-in-law and follow the rules of other people um, who are going to dictate how they should live. We should have that freedom to make our own decisions. Of course, you can have advice and everything like that, but we are free to have the ability to make our own decision that concerns our mental health, our well-being, and our educational, economical, and social development. Getting married should not be seen or felt the experience to be like you're going in a prison. And I've seen many young women fail to pursue their dreams and their aspirations and their ambitions because they are married. They have gotten into the trap of getting married, and the family do not understand that we are living in a modern society. So I would have done everything in my power to break those barriers, because in my society marriage is basically tabooed into something that, you know, a woman get married, she have to change her name, she have to change her way, she have to change how she dress. Oh no, I'm not signing up for that, sorry. And thank you very much for allowing me to be so vulnerable and sharing my experience when it comes to culture. And I believe that in the religion and the religious leaders need to sort of understand what they're preaching and what they're bringing on to society, because some of these things are infringing on the very human right we are seeking to protect when it comes to women. And it's always seeming mm, like men are gods and they are the lead, and a woman has no value, and she certainly has no um, fabric that we can we can see with some sort of value. So many times in our society, those things happen. And when the women refuse to compromise, they're being murdered, they're being killed, they're being, you know, discriminated upon, and they're being ganged up in ways and means that deny them what they deserve. And again, I have no apology to society. And if they had some way or form of denying me that, I am very much in control of myself, that I can demystify and I can stand up to those atrocities that society have placed on us as women. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samantha. Very, very well stated, and you really did get into what the issues are. Now, you did mention that the religious leaders can can provide some better guidance in the way rules and teachings are done. But beyond that, do you think there's anything in terms of policy, government policy, that can be done?
I certainly believe that there is so much more that the government can do in terms of raising awareness and bringing women to the table to address and to speak on some of these issues that they're facing. And of course, policy is an important infrastructure that governs society and that basically influence everyday life for women, right? And for example, there are so many laws and so many rules and so many policies that have been created to protect women, but none of them are protecting a woman when she's being beaten, when she's being battered. You call 911, you call the police. The police sometimes take bribe. You know what I mean? And it's like almost every single day a woman is being beaten, she's being abused, and she have every evidence to show that something is not right with her, something is happening to her. But then sometimes the police doesn't respond, sometimes the legal procedures home here doesn't stand with her. And sometimes you see the people who are involved in some of these activities against women, justice have not been brought. So these are all things I think government need to pay more attention to and more focus when it comes to dealing with women. And we also need to look at education for men, because I realized that we're raising a generation of powerful women, but these men do not understand how to process these powerful women, and sometimes they feel threatened and insecure when they see some of the strength of women today in society, and this sort of get them to react out of fear and anxiety that, oh, this woman will overpower them. But truly, and in essence, our strength is really from us being very diverse and creative, and women have ascended to so many different fields and so many different levels in society. And I think we also need to address our men, because they're key partners in this challenge that we are faced with. And we need to start having the conversations with them, because I don't feel when I speak to some men that they understand respect and that they understand boundary. A woman is seen as an object for sex, and that is all that I can feel when I'm moving through society. You hardly feel any respect. You hardly feel safe sometimes. You hardly feel anything that is coming positive your way. There is something always underlying under that. And I have to acknowledge that, and I have to say that openly.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. I do have to confess, I am also of some background of Indo-Caribbean. So I'm half of each, half African Caribbean descent and half Indo-Caribbean. And a lot of the points that you raise, I also do relate to them. I understand very, very well where you're coming from. A little anecdote, I recall back in the days of college, I had many friends in college who were actually terrified, and women friends who were terrified in walking past construction sites, just because they would be heckled and they would be shouted out by guys who were working on construction sites. And many of them would literally ask their friends who were male to go along with them if they were going to happen to walk past a construction site. So that a little anecdote here. Tripti and Seher, is there anything you would like to add to that conversation, or can we move on to the next question? You just raise your hand, yes or no? Okay, thanks. Um, I want to tackle the issue of access to again shifting gears a little, access to opportunities. So it's listed as question 2 on the sheet, and it says, how does not being allowed to access certain opportunities like sports, despite having the capacity for it, impact women's mental health? And many schools and colleges do have sports programs, but again, you do have disparities in funding. In most cases, the boys or men's programs tend to be better funded, and even coming out of school, the leagues in which people can play professionally tend to be just so much better funded. I look at Caribbean women's cricket. Again, the Caribbean women have done very, very well in cricket, right? And they will get paid nowhere near what men get paid, right? In the women's NBA in the US, again, vast discrepancies in salary. But further back up the chain, just the sheer issue of opportunity. How does that, in your minds, impact women's mental health? Because sports tends to be very, very good outlet in school and in communities. If I can start with Tripti, since you deal with adolescents a lot. Yeah.
Yes. So I've had a chunk in my, 10 years of work. I have had a few, adolescent girls who've had, who really wanted to take sports, ahead, but have not been able to kind of like, get the right opportunity to, be able to maximize that potential, right? And I have seen what it does to them. They have gone through extreme periods of anxiety, of not knowing whether they will be able to play the next match. Will they be able to do, anything with their careers, in terms of, getting an opportunity to play sports, let's say professionally or at national and international levels. Um, I've had lots of biases happen to them where, they feel like, the gender difference between, how male how male adolescents are pumped up for sports vis-a-vis the girls aren't, so that difference has come up, and that has eventually led to a lot of people actually feeling very doubtful about themselves, feeling hopelessness, and actually leading to like a clinical depression. So I've had a few, who actually experienced clinical depression because of not being able to get the right opportunities, or not being able to convert the right opportunities into, stuff that they could do. So again, when opportunities are restricted on a gender basis, I think it really hits home, a bad score, because you just feel like, there isn't, you have the capability, you have the ability, you have the skill to play the game, you have all what it takes, but you do not have the support of being in the correct gender, so to speak. So that is one of the concerns that, people who've come, adolescents who have come with this kind of a background always share that with me, and they're like, it wasn't our fault, we worked hard to get here, but it is very unfair to be able to to be dealt this hand. So I think, it does have a strong, impact on the mental health of adolescents who don't get opportunities, and especially girls who are not given the opportunity. Also, another thing that I feel is that, sometimes when these opportunities, are cut back, there are lots of cultural reasons that are given to, children, why they cannot pursue a particular sport, or why they can't do this professionally. And I think growing up in the world that we are, I think we're all moving towards a progressive thought, and that also sometimes interferes with, what the mindset of the rest of the family might be, or the rest of, the people might be. So I think that also creates a huge gap between, to talk of families, that creates a huge gap between the parents and the child as well, um, leading to a lot of other, other kind of diagnosis. But yeah, it does definitely, affect their mental health in a very, very strong way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sahir, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, so what I want to say is that it's not only about sports. Women need to compromise about a lot of things. They have been, they've been told like a trillion times that you are a woman. So what if we are a woman? We are a woman, we have our own choices. We have the capability. We have the choice to do whatever we want. Just because we are a girl or we are a woman, that doesn't mean that we do not have the right to, do what we want in our future. It's not only about sports, as I said, it's about anything. It could be about doing some kind of a job that you want to do. People tell you, okay, you are a girl, you should not do this. This is not meant for you. A boy is allowed to do anything and everything he wants to, but not a woman. Why? Just because they are born like a girl? I mean, why? I mean, just because it's a girl, that doesn't matter. Gender should not tell you what you can do or what you cannot do or what you're capable of. If you like doing something, you have the right to do it. You get only one life, and in that one life, I think you should make the use of it and do whatever keeps you happy. I've also like I've experienced so many things. Like, I wanted to do so many things, but because of my health issues, I couldn't do those. Like, I was a professional fashion stylist. I'd studied from NIFT Delhi and Bombay, and I could never do that because of my health issues. That's a very different scenario, altogether. But if somebody is saying that, like, I'm an artist, I don't really earn on a daily or a monthly basis, but my parents support me. They are happy that whatever makes me happy should be done by me. If I need to, even if I'm not earning like the way I told you, like in a proper manner, then they understand that and they support, and that's what we require. Support system in any way, may it be mental health, may it be your career, may it be your gender. You need to have support, and you need to make sure you create a support system around you, because not everyone is going to be there, but those particular people would be there for you. Like, I can choose whatever I want in my today's life. I can do whatever I want because I know that if I look back, I might not have anybody, but my mom, my dad will be standing there telling me, okay, go for it, sir. We know you can do it. And in fact, I have underestimated myself so many times that, like, even about today's life, I was cribbing last night and I was like, I can't do this. I haven't done stuff like this. I have always done Facebook Lives about just sharing my experiences. And my mother and my father, they were like, no, sir, it's just, the language is a little difficult, but all these things you can do. So you need that. You need a push. You need a kick from your support system to tell you that we can do this. Just because of our gender, that cannot define what we are capable of or what we're not capable of. Because of course, if somebody is asking me, like, I'm an artist, I'm a creative person, and if somebody tells me, okay, go do mathematics, I will bang my head into the wall. I can't do it. I just can't do it. So it's the same way. If somebody wants to play cricket, or if somebody wants to become a footballer, it's their personal choice, and they should, it's, everybody has one life and they have the right choice to make, and it's their life. You are nobody to tell them what they should do or what they should not do. So here also, what I feel is, even if I'm a woman, I need to speak out. I need to be very clear. I need to be reluctant that I need to do this. And there'll be a point that people will actually shut up and listen to you. And yeah, because I have gone through it. People used to say, okay, you were good in studies, why didn't you pursue? My father also, there were times that my father used to say, you are so good, you can become an engineer, you can, top in IIT also. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. IIT, I will not. I will suicide definitely if you ask me to do IIT. It's not my cup of tea. I am a creative person. I need to paint. I need to express. I need to talk. And now I've become a motivational speaker because I've gone through such, harsh experiences in my life. And speaking out, I've learned one thing, that if I speak my heart out in today's world, people are actually appreciating it. And a lot of people unknowingly are getting helped. Like, I don't know, a trillion people watch my Facebook live, 30,000 people watch my Facebook live. I don't know any of them personally, but of course they're listening to me and they are always there for my next live, and they support me. They tell me that, I am confident, and they appreciate whatever I'm saying. So it helps me also, and it helps a lot of other people unconsciously, because I'm creating awareness. So that's what I feel, that we should do what our heart tells us to do. Listening to people, it's going to just mess you in the mind. And of course, mental health you will get depressed, because as I said, you need to follow your heart. May it be whatever you want to do. I'm not talking only about in the terms of sports, but whatever. And no matter what gender you are, definitely that is not going to help. Gender is just gender. You do not need to create, like an issue about it. You need to do what you want.
Yes, Seher, thank you very much. I think 30,000 people looking at your Facebook Live. This is impressive. Sure, it could be a little stressful too, right? I think frequently we don't realize how much sports and the arts play towards the development of individuals. And, the arts, whether it be dance, poetry, music, whatever, it plays in building a more rounded individual. But it also gives you opportunity to try something and fail at it and then try again, right? And you try again and you are better at second time around, because you know what not to do, right? And we have a fear many times in our society. We stigmatize failing at something, right? But failing really is a step in an iterative process where you actually you actually build upon something and it gets better with each iteration. At this point, we could begin wrapping up. And Sam, if there's anything you'd like to add on the issue we just talked about concerning sports, just let you bring you in or not. I'll go ahead with getting some closing statements.
At this stage, I believe that these conversations are important that we're having, and women have been told so many times, they're not ready for this world, they're not worthy of this world. And I believe we need to look at this challenge that we are facing, because just imagine a world without any women, then we would not have men, because the women are the womb of this universe, and they are basically mimicking the role of the creator, and that is to procreate and have more creation out there. So we have to find ways and means to protect our women and to ensure their safety at all time, and to give women a chance to exist in society that is safe for them. I hope I would have touched your last minute question and conclusion.
Yep. Thank you very much. I would not dare imagine a world without women. Yeah.
You're most welcome.
Touching on the issue of arts again, as you know, the Aspire Artemis Foundation, which Humina runs and I am on the advisory board of, do incorporate the arts very, very much into the STEM programs. In fact, we recognize the arts has been very, very central to pushing STEM programs forward. So it's not a totally detached issue at all. But having said that, I would like to give each of you the opportunity to go ahead and give your closing statement. So with that, I will come back to you, Samantha. Samantha?
Yes, I'm right here.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at some of the policies, right? And when we have the makeup in our parliament and in in our decision making boards, most of the time you see men um, and who are dominating these seats, all right? And there is a certain percentage of women um, that are on these boards and sometimes none. If we are going to make decisions for women, about women and their rights, I believe that women should be on that table. More women should have that opportunity to be at the table to make decision, because obviously it is our future, it is our life. Why men are making all of these decisions of how we should operate and how we should be and who we should be, why we can't be at the table making and influencing more of these decision making process. And I believe that with all the conversations that we are having, I think we definitely need to push towards a direction where women are included in these table, in this conversation, and they are given access and they're given opportunity to have a fair and equal opportunity to participate, because a woman's role and a man's role is two different things. We have to cook, clean, take care of children, take care of family. I'm not saying that the man does not have to do that, but why can't these roles be shared equally so that, you know, they would understand where a woman is coming from? Then the next thing is equal opportunities in tech and in terms of pay as well. Sometimes a man is paid more on a job than a woman. He is more represented. And I believe that these are things that we need to address, and we need to address them with stern action and stern calls for organizations that represent women's rights to definitely take up the core mantle in producing policies. And if our organizations can come together and help young people to understand more about policy creation, because I believe knowledge is the foundation of any society. And if we're to understand more of policy creation, how is it being created, I believe we can do it from, it can start on an individual level and then it can descend into something much more powerful when we have more participation and more people agreeing with it. And you can agree with me, who would not agree that women are being discriminated, stymied of their development emotionally, educational, and even social, financial. So those are some areas I think we need to definitely tackle and look at, because we can have mental health, but we need to include the other areas that encompasses growth and development of every woman across the planet.
Thank you, Samantha. Very, very well said. Diversity in representation, pay scales, but diversity because it drives policy, and the more you hear from everyone in terms of formulating policy, the better. Right. Thank you very much. With that, I will go to Sahir and after to Tripti. So you can wrap up, please, Sahir.
So, I don't really have a closing statement, but all I want to say is that do what you feel good about and do what makes you happy. And always, make sure that you remember that giving up is not an option. So if there's a situation, you need to know and you need to learn how to deal with it. I am telling this by my own experience of 8, 9 years of severe depression, suicidal tendencies, breakdowns, getting judged by people. And I have one thing to say, that humans are weird. So what I feel is that humans actually enjoy putting others down. They get some satisfaction or some happiness, inside them if they put somebody down instead of lifting somebody, making them smile. So what I believe and what I do in my today's lives and everything, that I try to lift people up if they are going through a particular situation, if they are going through any sort of health issue, mental health issue. I try to help them. I try to lift them up. I try to tell them that no, you're not alone. I'm here with you. I'm standing right here. Do what you want. Tell me what you want. Share your heart out to me. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to laugh at you. I'm not going to make fun of you. You are your own ruler. So whatever you want to do is in your hand. You are not answerable to anybody in this world. Answer yourself, be confident in your own shoes, learn to live your life the way you want, because that is very important. If I'm not joking, but if you learn this, then I'm sure you can tackle everything and anything. It took me 9 years to understand this. I don't know how much time others would take, but this is very important. And since I've learned this, I'm actually being able to handle any sort of a situation. May it be somebody making fun of me, may it be somebody making fun of my adoption or my health or my even I have this experience. So when I started my college, right after my schooling, I had cut myself very badly on my hand, and I had like a lot of stitches, and I had gone to college even after all this. I think I was in a break for 1.5 months, and after that I stood up and I went to the college. And the day I went, people said such harsh things. People were making fun of me. They were like, you can't do this. Like they say in Hindi, tere bas ki nahi hai. You're a coward. They never understood what was going on in my mind or how I was feeling. Nobody understood. And to be frank, that's when I left college. And I actually still don't have the guts to go to a normal college where, I have to study like from morning to evening. I don't have the guts. I have not done my graduation. I did a small course, like that was not regular college. That was just like 3 times a week for a few hours for 9 months that I did. But it made me a certified stylist. I tried working in Bombay, and my boss used to sit and compare how her mother's mental health is much more severe than mine, even though she had no idea about what I was going through or what I've dealt with for so many years. So she used to make fun. She used to shout at me for hours. And someone like me, I'm a very sensitive person. I cannot take people making fun of me or shouting at me. I really get scared. I was locked in my own room for 2 years. It took me 2 years to get out of my house, and now COVID is again made me sit at home. So I'm just trying to get back on life and get back on people. I'm trying to live my life from a new way and be more confident. Try to help as many people as possible, make sure that they don't give up. And I still talk to a lot of people. So all I have to say is, if you have any questions, if you want to ever talk, or you need a friend, you can always message me on my Facebook page or contact me on my Instagram or whatever. I will send my links on the chat, so that if anybody ever needs somebody, I'm there, because I know what it feels to be alone in this situation. I have dealt with it for 8 years, and I have been alone, almost alone, other than my parents and I think my doctors, my psychiatrist, and my counselor, and my dogs. Nobody were there with me. And it's very important to create a support system which everybody needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And how could you say you didn't have a closing statement? That was brilliant. Yeah, Tripti, over to you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Firstly, I'd like to thank everybody, on this panel. I think you guys are fantastic, Samantha and Seher. It takes a lot of courage to come out and speak about your own personal experiences. And I think you guys are like real rock stars. And I'm sure all of us on this chat as well, and all the people who are watching, are also going through their own struggles. So I think kudos to everybody for going through that struggle. The one thing that I want to point out in my closing statement is that mental health is not something that emerges at, at some age or at some whatever. It's a lifespan perspective. We need to look at what are the causes that we are creating in our children's life from the very start, right? Because in my work of 10 years with adolescents or young adults, usually they are here, but the causes have happened way back here. So it is very important to give a safe, secure, and open upbringing to our children. Because I think when we sort that out, this will automatically sort itself out. When we talk about giving, courage to women, or, making women courageous at a certain age, like let's say after, they get married, we need to look back into their lives. Where is a reservoir of courage? Did we create that as parents? Did we give them enough appreciation? Did we give them enough love, care, empathy? Just did we hear our children? So from the perspective of where I stand, I work across 3 different, segments of age group. One is, under 10, then 10 to, about 18. And then, I work up to 18 to, let's say, 24, 25. And I see that, what is most important is to create that continuity in in the life of an individual at whatever age. So I think what we need to do is we need to create a society where children become more resilient, where women become more resilient, where girl children become more resilient, where they have enough support networks to be able to feel confident of going along in life. For them to feel like, okay, yes, this is an opportunity I can take in. For them to feel love and not feel like, okay, this one's better than me. That's when we will start ensuring good mental health of people in general. Remember, Samantha said that, women are at the center focus of families, and let's make that the women mental health is very important. If that goes askew, the whole, it's like, I often give this analogy. Women are like the, SUN of families. If they were to move themselves out from that, the planets would collapse, which means that every person in and around them will go into a chaos. Women need to realize that they are the sun. And I think when that realization happens, they will emerge stronger. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone. This was really, really a good conversation. I totally enjoyed. I did learn a few things along the way, and it was also very good hearing the personal stories. With that, I will turn over to Jasmine, who will give the closing, the thank yous. Jasmine, over to you.
Thank you so much, Cecil. I think it has been a very wonderful session. In fact, all the sessions that have happened till now, till today's session, they have been interconnected, as I expressed in the beginning itself. But today's session is a very valid and required in today's time, because what I feel is mental health is often considered as something to be overlooked and does not get much attention compared to the physical health of a person. And as Tripti mentioned, that the concept of mental health has to begin at the childhood level, because I see sometimes when I teach kids in schools, and the school, and at this point of time, I'm very pro that every school should come up with life skills, which also talks about mental health education, which is completely out and almost not talked at the school level, whereas most of the bullying, body shaming, or any other aspects of depression or saddening movements actually happen in these levels. So a system has to be created whereby people can openly talk about such issues and not be judged because I feel that when someone expresses his or her feelings, what do we often reply? Just take a chill. You need to have a coffee. Just go grab a beer. You drown your sorrows. These are the kind of reactions which people give, and I am completely surprised by that, lack of sympathy or lack of empathy. I would term it more better. Lack of empathy to say, okay, tell me what happened. What is it that is bothering you? These kind of dialogues never come out, and sometimes, be it our siblings, be it our friends or our parents, they fail to understand that something is deep within that is bothering me. And of is affecting to a level where I can seep into depression. So I'm very, very happy that this topic came out so well, and it was the way the participants also put forward their messages on chat. It was really wonderful. So thank you so much to all the panelists here, Seher, Tripti, Samantha, who enlightened us with their experiences, gave a personal touch to this dialogue by sharing what they have gone through, which kind of puts forward, which kind of inspires us to say that there is nothing to be ashamed about when you're expressing your true feelings. Cecil, you did a great job at moderation to take us through and sharing some of your background as well. So we are really happy that you helped us moderate the session. Mahima, definitely as a co-moderator, she also was a wonderful person who shared her thoughts and took forward the session. And obviously my team who have helped me over this 6 dialogues journey, through all the push and pulls, through all the updates, by working round. So it's been a wonderful journey. And Harmeena, as an advisor, she's always been there with us at any time of the hour, at any time of the day. When we have texted her, we have received immediate responses. So thanks to her for such wonderful opening remarks at every session. Keshav, who pushed us to do these sessions and has been a very good support. So a thank you to all the panelists, moderators, and everyone who has helped us to make these dialogue series a success. And definitely we will be doing further dialogues, because this is not over. This has just begun. This has just begun. And I think through all the sessions, I've received such wonderful feedbacks. So I won't say that this is the end. This is just the beginning. So before we close the dialogue, I would like to have Harmeena share her thoughts with us, followed by Keshav also. Over to you, Harmeena.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much to all of you. And I have to say that the Gender Dialogue series has been very illuminating.
Sorry, Harmeena, sorry, your voice is a little faint. I don't know if it's just with me or others also.
Am I audible to everyone else? Is it better now?
You're fine.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, I was just saying that, these gender dialogues have been, amazing. And because I'm very personally moved by gender itself, and have worked in this area for more than, 18 years. And it is something that is very close to my heart, and I am very happy of the substantive and rich discussions that's happened for the entire series. We've had panelists from all over the globe, and everyone has brought such a depth in understanding, diverse representation, and it has been truly transformational, not only to those who participated in the panels, but also those who caught the sessions, later on Facebook Live or on other mediums as well. So I have to commend the entire team for putting this all together, everyone who has worked hard behind the scenes as well to ensure that this has, gone according to plan. And something that came up, especially in this dialogue, and of course in many others, is that oftentimes women, they stay in the shadows, they hide, they mask their light, their power, and their accomplishments, because they are conditioned by this damaging belief that, you know, women should not speak up. Women are to be seen. They're not to be heard. And this type of mindset, it's a social construction of perceived gender roles shaped by a hyper patriarchic system that needs dismantling. Both men and women and all genders, everyone suffer when there is lack of equality, when there's lack of understanding. There's no advancement if one half of the population is suffering, and it does not contribute to the overall functioning and well-being of a society. I think my work and my life experience has taught me that, you know, just even like a small action, a thoughtful message, a kind word, it could transform a person's experience in the way they address not only their days, but the way their successes and you know, their lives and the way they function in society and at home. I think we need to reestablish confidence in women, because it becomes tantamount to their success, their happiness, and their overall dignity. A support system, a circle of mentors, supporters, and allies, it helps empower and reinforce a woman's confidence and how she functions in society and at home and in the workplace. So women around the world, they've been speaking up for a long time, generations, but now I think they're demanding even more change, and they're saying, you know, this is enough. We've had enough. The world needs to change. And COVID-19 has presented a situation where many challenges have increased for women in the household, but you're hearing more and more that women are speaking out. And I commend all of you for speaking out and being authentic. I think being your authentic self is incredibly important, and it allows you to have a more centered presence and acceptance of who you are. Social media, it could be a positive and a negative tool, but as Samantha eloquently pointed out, the technology, it's powered by humans, so the mindset change is necessary. So if a human being functions in society a certain way, that behavior will be echoed on social media. So we need to change the construct of the way women are viewed in society and the way that we speak about women. And empowerment is incredibly important, especially self-empowerment in this regard. So so continue transforming lives in the way that you're doing your work, and let's continue to level the playing field for women and girls globally, but also focus as well on empowering men, because as we have these empowered women, we need to break down the way in which we view a man's role in society and how he should function. So I think that also becomes important, the way men relate to women, the way boys relate to girls. This all echoes into a societal mindset, and I think everything needs to change, and we need to educate both the man and the woman, the girl and the boy. So thank you so much, and sorry for going on and on about that.
Thank you, Armina, for your remarks. I am just taking the floor because Jasmine had asked me to. I just want to simply say one thing, that as far as mental health is concerned, that I have myself dealt with issues of mental health, and till the time I hadn't dealt with them myself, I thought that I was immune to them. Turns out that nobody is immune to them, and everyone has them in varied degrees. So when we recognize the mental health issues for somebody else, we essentially are being kind to ourselves and recognizing the same for ourselves also. And I feel that many people who are ignorant, like I was at some point, are not even recognizing the mental health issues of their own life and those close to them when they casually take up somebody's mental health issues. So I think my only request to anyone who's listening, who will ever hear this dialogue, is when somebody tells you that they have an issue that they're facing, the least we can do is hear them out as they want to be heard. And we can take it one step at a time from there. So thank you so much, everyone. And to all the panelists, again, to talk about these issues also means to reflect on your own experiences, which can be a very difficult and a brave thing. So just my deepest gratitude to everyone, to Aspire Artemis Foundation, to Jasmine, the whole team, all our regional partners, very importantly, Gemtech, Enactus Gemtech, Girl Up Punk. We also have Borderless as one of our regional partners, and we have Sahara. So thank you so much to all the youth organizations. Stupendous work by you guys. And I think Cecil had said something at the beginning of his remarks, where I will also end. I think for the 6 Dialogues Gender series, Cecil had said that he had the privilege of being surrounded by some powerful women. So I think I was listening to Dalai Lama, His Holiness, a few days back, old video where he said that, and I completely resonate until today, that your mother is always your first teacher. So I think that I echo that with same spirit that, and what Cecil had said, that a woman or a mother is always my first teacher, and I really hope that we don't forget it when we talk to any woman, when we talk to anybody, that they're all our teachers. So thank you so much. And in those in the West, in America, have a great day ahead. Those in India and in Europe, have a great evenings ahead. Thank you, everyone. And Cecil, thank you so much for being such an inspiring moderator and having what a beautiful space for everyone to be open and speak. So Cecil, a special thank you to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, everyone.